Time magazine called him the unsung hero behind the internet. CNN called him a father of the internet. President Bill Clinton called him one of the great minds of the information age. He has been voted history's greatest scientist of African descent. He is Philip Emeagwali. He's coming to Trinidad and Tobago to launch the 2008 Kwame Ture lecture series on Sunday, June 8th at the JFK Auditorium, Lewis in the Weston, 5 p.m. The Emancipation Support Committee invites you to come and hear this inspirational mind address the theme, Crossing New Frontiers to Conquer Today's Challenges. This lecture is one you cannot afford to miss. Admission is free, so be there on Sunday, June 8th, 5 p.m. at the JFK Auditorium, Lewis in Augusta.
Parallel processing was ridiculed, mocked, and rejected by Jean Amdahl and Seymour Cray, the two pioneers in the fields of sequential processing, supercomputing, and vector processing, supercomputing, respectively. Parallel processing was only accepted after decades of protracted and strenuous conflicts against the likes of Jean Amdahl and Seymour Cray. At 10:15 a.m., Tuesday, the 4th of July of 1989, the U.S. Independence Day, it was my most pleasurable experience to stand at the farthest frontier of human knowledge and experimentally discover the massively parallel processing supercomputer. Though parallel processing was first thought of in the 1940s, the practical idea of solving millions of initial boundary value problems of modern mathematics and computational physics and solving those problems at once was utterly ridiculed until I experimentally discovered it on the 4th of July of 1989 and won the top prize in supercomputing in 1989. I experimentally discovered how to solve the grand challenge problem of supercomputing that had cast its ominous shadow over the first 43 years of the invention of the programmable supercomputer that was invented back in 1946. That experimental discovery represents a new paradigm in the history of the computer. That experimental discovery was the tipping point that led to the complete acceptance of the massively parallel processing supercomputer. That experimental discovery of massively parallel processing was immediately embodied into all modern supercomputers and is now universally used. Within most modern modern computers. That experimental discovery was the new knowledge that convinced the naysayers to change the way they looked at the modern supercomputer. The scientific acceptance of the massively parallel processing supercomputer was unstoppable after I made that experimental discovery. On the 4th of July of 1989, I experimentally discovered the fastest supercomputer that was the precursor to the modern supercomputer. On the 4th of July of 1989, I witnessed the unveiling to the human race of a new understanding of the words computer and supercomputer. In the old dictionary, the computer was powered by only one processor that was not a member of an ensemble of processors. In my new dictionary, my computer was powered by an ensemble of 65,536 commodity off-the-shelf processors that cohesively computed as one seamless supercomputer. The computer is the greatest invention of the 20th century. In the 1970s and 80s, parallel processing across an ensemble of processors was described as a beautiful theory that lacked an experimental confirmation. On the 4th of July of 1989, I experimentally discovered how the modern supercomputer can massively parallel process or do many things at once to solve the toughest problems in extreme scale computational physics and mathematics. My experimental discovery of 1989 of massively parallel processing earned me the highest award in the field of supercomputing and became my contribution to the development of the computer. My experimental discovery is the reason young people are doing school reports on Philip Emeagwali. Looking back since ancient times, the abacus invented in ancient China was the dust-covered board that enabled its user to compute faster than with his fingers and toes. Looking back since ancient times, computing aids have improved from the dust board to the blackboard to the motherboard. And now, across a massively parallel processing supercomputer that I visualized as my small copy of the internet, and that's a global network of 64 binary thousand motherboards that are equal distances afar and apart and on the surface of a globe in a 16-dimensional hyperspace. I believe that for thousands of years, massively parallel processing will remain at the essential core of the science of computing. The supercomputer will remain an extension of humanity, and massively parallel supercomputing around the internet will be passed from civilization to civilization. I believe that massively parallel supercomputing will be an intrinsic part of man-made brains of our post-human descendants of year million. Massively parallel processing has taken the modern supercomputer to previously unimaginable speeds of supercomputing. Parallel processing has taken the computer into a new era.
Insightful and brilliant lecture.